Hello, and welcome to Optimized, a marketing performance podcast brought to you by the Multifamily Media Network. I'm Janet Rosseth, your host, and a 25-year veteran of multifamily marketing. This podcast is going to challenge you to reach 1% better somewhere in your daily life, and optimizing is how we'll do that together. Whether it's bringing your personal best to your work and life, building efficient work processes, uncovering new trends, or making sense of meaningful data, we'll dig in together and find that 1%. Hey friends, another episode of Optimized coming at you here today. I'm excited to bring on my guest, Stephanie Versine, industry pro and founder of SLG Consulting. Stephanie, we're going to have a good conversation today. A little bit of specialization, a little bit of centralization. Do you want to start with an introduction, take us through your journey in multifamily housing and what you're currently doing today?
Sure. Thank you so much, Janet. I actually started my career 25 years ago in the hospitality industry back in Europe. And I spent most of my career in hospitality industry. I recently joined the multifamily 7 years ago, and I've stayed because I love it. But it's very similar, as you and I discussed it before. The hospitality industry and multifamily industries are, to me, almost one of the same, now, especially nowadays.
It's just a longer stay, right?
It is. It's just really a longer stay, but the customer experience, the customer expectations are the same.
Yeah, I think there are so many parallels. I agree. And we had such a fun conversation about just the impact of marketing and leasing and that early aspect of the journey. And I think I had told you when we first talked that I was such a fangirl because I saw you speak at the AIM conference a couple of years ago on centralization. And you were one of the early adopters in our industry, and you were just so forthcoming with the challenges that you faced, but also the outcomes. And they were pretty spectacular outcomes. So I'm just curious. I know we're going to hit that topic a little bit, but we talked a lot about your thoughts on what you think is working well in the industry right now and what you feel is broken. And, take us a little bit through your consulting right now and the things that you're tapping into and uncovering.
Sure. My specialty right now is to really bring my clients, property management companies into the thinking of centralization and how to do it. I think there is not one solution fitting everybody. There is really case per case. You look at your geographical concentration of your assets. You look at third-party operators, managers. You look at the way you are handling already your operations, and then you kind of brainstorm and see what would be the best way to centralize. And again, centralization means much different things to different people based on how much is your footprint, as I said initially. Just to concentrate a little bit more on centralization, to me, centralization means looking at your leasing and how you are doing leasing on site and how can you do it in a more efficient way, more productive way by combining leasing into multiple sites or making sure that your leasing efficiency is the best way from a customer point of view, because your prospects want to have multiple choices. And back in the days, one leasing person was only leasing one asset. Yes. And nowadays we can actually do multiple offerings, a little bit like in the hospitality industry. We used to do that too, where we had the same marketing and sales team representing multiple hotels in the same city.
Yeah, I love what you just said. First of all, I think there's probably a lot of people that feel very relieved to hear that centralization is customizable and that it doesn't have to fit every single company the same way. That sometimes has been a little bit of a fear. And I think that PropTech has gotten in the way of some people realizing that there still can be an efficiency behind centralizing. And I completely agree with you. I think I have so many clients and I've worked with so many companies that have a regional focus and have properties down the street from each other, but yet the same prospect might be looking at all four of those properties from a leasing aspect, but they are experiencing it one at a time instead of getting engaged with one leasing agent that can help them through several properties in the geographic area that they're looking for.
Yes, and that's the truly the beauty of centralization to me. It's to better serve our prospects. Instead of being very tedious to have one asset at a time,
Yeah.
you have a better offering for them, and at the end you have a better closing ratio as well.
Right. I think it better serves the employee as well, frankly. I mean, the leasing agent wants to be able to help a prospect find the right home. And when they're limited to only what's on the property that they exist on, but they know that there's this whole group of sister properties nearby, I mean, it would be really nice to be able to carry that prospect forward in whatever building has units available.
And that's, I think, where we talk about role specialization a lot when we talk about centralization, because back in the days, your leasing manager on site is supposed to answer the calls, qualify the lead, do a tour, take care of the walk-ins from the residents, and do the red tape of administration of the leasing and the lease, and do the move-in. All of these could be
Yes.
actually specialized, and you can have really, that's why we talk about moving off on site the admin part of leasing, which is sometimes very tedious, and having a specialized team taking care of it. So you have a specialized team that answer the calls and the emails for the prospects. You could have a specialized team that is only doing the online application questions, the online application management, the lease execution management as well. And then it really leaves on site your leasing manager to lease, which is really what they are supposed to be doing, correct? 100% of the time, but
Right.
most of the time they are very busy with other things that dilute the productivity of your leasing team, I would think.
Right. Right. I agree. It dilutes the productivity, but I think it also disrupts the engagement. And it's
Yes,
hard for a leasing agent to really engage and have a fluid conversation with a prospect and really sit down and just get into that conversation when they've got people in front of their desk or they've got packages being delivered or residents coming through the door. It's too much. And so leasing ends up happening between the cracks, like in little bits of time that are available. And maybe they're able to answer the phone and have a completely fluid conversation with someone, but more than likely the phone goes unanswered. And as many times a day as they can, they're tapped into a CRM to, I
yes.
call it, for lack of better terms, follow up flinging, because you're just trying to get through, oh, I need to follow up with all these new leads. And then I have two people who are showing tomorrow that I'm going to make sure they've got a confirmation, and okay, back to all the other things that are happening in the office.
And I think that the last point to your point, Janet, is the fact that role specialization means that you are expert at what you
Yeah.
do. You have a deep knowledge about answering the phone, qualifying the leads, etc., etc. You have a deep knowledge into running a lease and answering all the online application questions that a prospect could have. And then you have a deep knowledge of being a salesperson. A leasing manager needs to be a salesperson. And I think we forget about this. We want to have someone that can do everything, and that's not possible. So to me, role specialization brings expertise in all those various, very important steps of the customer journey. And considering your leasing managers as salespeople is very important. That's something that I think is switching a little bit nowadays in our industry. Is that before leasing consultants were kind of that the paid not much, and we were hoping they were going to be the best salespeople in the
Yeah.
world. I think it needs
And
to
yet they're
change.
the first impression. They are the first
They
line
are,
impression on
and
multi-million dollar assets.
we need to make sure that they have the skills, the expertise to be true salespeople to close the deal. Correct? Because that's the ultimate point: is to close the deal.
Yeah, and deliver a really positive experience for that prospect as well. Tell me,
Yes,
you're working through this
yes.
with a lot of clients. Tell me where you feel like the hazards are in working through this, because I feel like I know where you're going to start, and you tell me if I'm right. It's prop tech can sometimes be the biggest hazard here.
Yes. Well, first of all, it's great that we have prop tech. I think 10 years ago, we were not talking about anything, any automation, any AI. And now I really truly think that this is very important and it brings value to the entire ecosystem of leasing. Except that you need to make sure you test it. You need to make sure you understand your customer journey. You need to make sure you map all your various touch points. And I think we don't do a good job enough on the marketing side and on the leasing side to really understand that you don't just set up a prop tech automation some
Right.
sort and then leave it. You have
Yep.
to experience it. You have to see like, well, the customer journey nowadays is non-linear. People are coming from very different ways at different moments of their journey. Some just want to collect information. Some are ready for touring. How are we responding to those requests, to those demands? And are we testing frequently to make sure that what we are automating respond properly to the questions? And most of the time it doesn't. And that's where I'm asking everyone, please shop your own self.
Yeah.
Test your own self, test your team on site, but test your tech as well. Uh, test your digital journey. How is that the bot on your website doesn't know anything about your pet policy, for example,
Yep.
or really answers something that doesn't make any sense? Like, I think automation is great. I think we need to go further and make sure that we have a granular understanding of the various journeys that are coming to our digital portal or to our on-site teams as well.
Absolutely. I agree. It's no longer that we can expect that. And I think this is where it gets hard with prop tech is that the guest card in a lot of the industry's prop tech systems, property management software, allows for certain types of first leads. So it's a walk in, it's a phone call, it's an email. Those aren't even all the journeys. I mean, it could be a Facebook Messenger, it could be, you know, it's just so diverse. It could be a text, it could be, and we don't get to track that. And then we don't really get to track the full attribution. So we might have a bot or AI attached to the website that allows the prospect to have that beginning conversation, but the handoff to either the property management software, the CRM, or the leasing agent is friction filled. And I think that's an
Yes.
area that we're having to comb through. And I wonder if you're having that conversation with clients as well, that you might have to switch tech solutions in order to have the journey that you want your prospect to have, because there aren't a whole lot of property management software systems that allow for a multi-site journey for a prospect.
None. And there are actually none. And that's where I think
That
we
makes me
we
sad.
need we need to have, I want AI to be even smarter, which means
Yes.
that we need to push the envelope to the multi-site type of queries that someone can have. The fact that sometimes the only thing that the bot wants is to schedule a tour. I'm like,
Yep.
great. So we schedule a tour because we're kind of forced to schedule a tour. Do I want to schedule a tour? Am I ready to tour? Maybe
Right.
not.
I might not be
So
all the way qualified for a tour.
having the elevated AI soon, I'm sure someone is working on this to understand the intention. At what point do we infuse a human touch as well? So you disconnect the AI to have someone that finish up to qualify that lead, to me, would be very important, because it's not just AI or it's not just a human touch. It's like, how can we make sure we map properly that prospect journey with a little bit of automation support, a little bit of AI touch, a little bit of human touch, and making sure that then we have a coherent conversation. Because right now it's not coherent. And I've
I
done a
agree.
lot of testing and QAing, and it's just not there yet. But it will get there. It will get there.
I agree. And I think the more we test, shameless plug, but that's one of the services that my company offers is we offer a stride audit that literally tests from the marketing that a prospect experience through to the ad sources, the property website, and then experiencing a bot or AI and a handoff to the human being. And there's so much friction involved in it right now. And just like you said, I think, part of it is that handoff to the human being. And we've got to get just a little bit more seamless in how we deliver that lead to the human leasing agent, because they have to
Yes.
click through how many different locations to see the information that the prospect has already shared or has engaged with along the way. And if they could pick it up in the most seamless way and say, I see you were interacting with, our, Riverside floor plan on the second floor, available May 1st. And I saw that you asked about a dog. Let's just make this journey perfect for you. It doesn't happen. I mean, I can't tell
It's
you
a
how many times
question.
we test from a unit level, send the guest card from a unit level, and then receive a question back of, what size floor plan are you looking for?
Yes. But it goes back to training. I
Yeah.
think when you have a specialized team, you have to have specialized training,
Yes.
which means that you need to make sure that you really, really train your people to understand the situation, where they play the role, where is the handoff, earlier, later, now, and making sure that there is nothing worse than having someone that has to repeat their own story on the phone. You experience that. So making sure that people understand where to look at, and the software needs to be also very um, user friendly to make sure that you don't click 5 times before you find the story of that lead
Agreed.
to answer the phone properly.
Yeah. And I think in those specialized roles too, it really it opens up opportunity for the specialized leasing agent to train the system, to train the bot, to train the AI. That's sometimes where we miss a beat a little bit, is whether it's the marketing department or the leasing department or a training department, it's launching and leaving, like you said earlier. You launch AI, you've got to continue to train it and polish it.
Yes,
It's just like onboarding a new leasing agent. You wouldn't just leave them.
it is.
You
And
need to
it
continue
also,
to polish it up and listen to what it's engaging with prospects, and teach it better language or tighten up the process.
and it also shows you that, to me, marketing and leasing needs to be together. There is no way nowadays you can have marketing on one side and leasing on another. And I think that's the some of the revolution of this multifamily industry, is to bring together marketing and leasing. Hospitality has done that for decades. Marketing and sales is always the one department. So bringing those two together to have the entire overview of your customer journey, and really understanding that marketing cannot be smart without the feedback of leasing, and leasing cannot be efficient without smart marketing leads, qualified leads coming to the pipeline. So to me, those two need to be under the same roof.
I agree. Honestly, I've spent 25 years in this industry leading marketing divisions, and I've always included leasing in that. I don't think you can do one without the other.
No,
Whatever
or
whatever
you'll spend
initiatives
a
you're
lot of
launching
money
and
and
marketing are at the mercy of the leasing handoff. So if you're not intertwined together and blended in your efforts, you're missing a huge chunk of information.
correct. And to me, marketing is always asked to produce more leads, and I said that 100 times.
It's
It's
never
more
just a lead
qualified
issue.
leads.
It's never just a lead issue.
No, it's never a
Yeah.
lead issue.
Yeah. Tell me what excites you. You're seeing a lot in terms of growth in the industry, growth in prop tech. What excites you that's coming in the next year or two that you feel is really going to help pivot this ability to centralize and specialize?
I would say I think the what's excites me is the emergence of true brands and loyalty in our industry. I remember coming to this industry where everybody was saying we just want people to stay 1 year because then we can have a increase in the rent. And to me, loyalty is so important, that I didn't understand why we were anti-loyalty marketing, basically. And I think I've seen it now that more and more people are understanding that resident retention is as important as acquiring new residents, because it costs so much money nowadays to on the marketing side to get new leads and to get qualified leads and to have that lead finishing up
Right.
to become a new resident. So the
Not to mention
looking at
turning a
the
unit. Turning a unit
Oh,
costs thousands
yes.
of dollars, and if you're lucky to not have any vacancy loss.
Correct. So, seeing the more and more that we want to build resident retention strategies, that we are looking at the build reward program, not to name one of them, having a reward program in our industry is groundbreaking to me now in multifamily. But and I think that's really hopeful because you can you cannot be successful without having a strong brand, without having a good brand value and brand promise. And our industry is consolidating more and more. So you are going to finish up with just big brands at the end of the day.
Right. Right. And I mean, it is appropriate to imagine that a prospect or a renter comes into your company, your brand on the size of apartment that fits them at that moment, right? Might be a studio, might be a one bedroom, and eventually life evolves and they need more space. So why do we allow them to move on rather than move up within our own buildings? And same thing for downsizing. Why do we insist that people go out and start the search all over again if there's a simple way to tap into what we've already got within the same brand, within the same experience that they're
Correct.
used to having?
Correct. And it's like,
It's
to me,
again that whole process
make
that we
it
don't
easy.
allow the journey across multiple properties.
Make
Yeah.
it easy. I'm here.
No.
I know I trust your brand. So let me just move from one asset to another without any fees or penalties or like feeling bad because I just want to stay in your
Yeah.
ecosystem.
Right. Whether it's within the region or it's even moving out of state, I think if you've got the capability, it's an exciting thought to imagine that we might get there in the next couple of years, being able to service the renter across their lifespan or as long as they continue to be a renter by choice rather than just across their lease term.
And we have to also remember that more and more the younger generation just cannot afford to buy. So they are going to become longer renters. And we need to be understanding that very long life cycle as well, which is make it easy to keep them in the ecosystem.
Yep. Yep. And every once in a while, you see generational lease terms. You see,
Yes,
the group of family members, mom raised, kids in the building and kid is now back living in the building and grandma has moved in now too. And it's a really cool, but I have to be honest that when I've come across it, it's like, oh my gosh, are these people all related? And it's like a needle in a haystack that you found it, but it would be really cool to see that more often within the building. I think I have a friend in the multifamily marketing in New York, and I think he sees it more often than anybody
for
because
sure.
so much more renter by choice there.
Yes,
Yeah,
for sure. And I think loyalty brings loyalty, which means that
yeah,
people will definitely recommend you, and that's the precious free marketing
right.
to have someone that recommends another someone to live here, and this is something that is priceless for a marketer to have the buzzwords. The word of mouth
Absolutely.
is unvaluable.
Absolutely. I want to ask you, what is, the clients that you work with on centralizing and specializing roles, where do you recommend people start in that process?
It's a great question because everybody starts differently.
Yeah,
Initially, the I would say the easiest part would be removing the admin part of leasing because it's a no-brainer to remove administration tasks from the on-site to off-site and even offshore, which is something that is the next step as well because administrative tasks are repetitive and could be done by anyone anywhere remotely. So removing all the calls, the email from the prospect to a specialized team off-site or offshore, removing the leasing management execution of the lease to an offshore specialized team as well could be something very efficient and leave really on site the people that are on site to tour, schedule tours, qualify a little bit more the lead and make sure that they close the deal at the end.
Right. There are some really impressive tools hitting leasing right now too, AI and nurture products that allow for the lead to be nurtured to the point where it makes sense to hand off to the leasing agent rather than everything falling on the leasing agent in the pipeline. Can be a little bit more
That's why
intentional.
it's easy to create leads. It's
Yes,
more complex to create qualified leads, as we know.
absolutely. So true. I could talk to you for hours about this subject, and I know we're going to get a chance probably to connect at RecCon as well and see some of these impressive tools there. But I always have one last question that I ask my guest, and that's because this podcast is called Optimized, and it's all about really finding those little wins, those little improvements, gaining 1% better. What do you personally do, Stephanie, that allows you to optimize and show up just 1% better each day?
Oh, I love these questions. I usually spend at least 15 minutes per day, usually in the morning, to read my book, to not be plugged in to a device, to just really read a real book. 15 to 30 minutes, if I'm lucky, every morning I want to read.
What do you
I
veer
think
more towards, business books or
I do anything,
fiction?
self-help, business books, fiction. But at least it's my 15 to 30 minutes of me giving something good to my brain.
I like that.
And it's off being a little bit unplugged because we are so connected during the
We
day.
are. So true. Any book recommendations to the audience?
Well, the Atomic Habit was something amazing that I read at least 3 times now.
Isn't
Um,
that one is classic? Just
my,
always good
ano-
advice.
Another
Yeah.
classic is The Power of Now,
Yes. In
which
fact, I think I have Atomic Habits behind me on my desk right now.
which is really about living the present and being very present in a moment, because the past is done, gone, the future is not even here. And we always worry one way or another, and trying to be here today, now, is actually very grounding, but very difficult to achieve.
Right. It's a practice more than just reading it once
It
and
is. It is.
feeling like you've got it. Yes. It's hard to stay in the present. Well, I appreciate you being here so much and making time for the podcast episode. Where can our listeners find you if they're interested in learning more about your services?
On LinkedIn, I'm very active on LinkedIn, and my profile is up to date, so all my details are there as well. And thank you so much,
Fantastic.
Janet, for today. I so appreciate you and what you are doing for our industry.
Ditto. I appreciate you too. Are we going to hear you speaking at anything this year?
Maybe. Who knows? It's not
Okay.
confirmed yet.
As soon as I see it on LinkedIn, I'll share it. Thank you so
Thank you so
much for
much.
being here today,
Thank you.
Stephanie.
Thanks again for taking time today for this session. I hope you found a bit of inspiration and wisdom to optimize your performance. If you're a marketing influencer, either on the operations or supplier end, be sure to check out Cadence Marketing Solutions and specifically explore our Run Club online community. No actual running is necessary. We've made it our mission to support marketers and lead you to the voices, resources, and tools that impact your success in this fast-paced industry. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe. And visit multifamilymedianetwork.com to learn more about our other industry podcasts, thought pieces, and sponsorship opportunities. Until next time, I hope you find that 1% better.